10 PS3 horror games that were exceptionally scary. Some of the most frightening and dark gameplay encounters ever devised, in video games or otherwise, have emerged from the warped brains of horror game developers. The PS3's greatest hits have been reimagined for the current generation. However, the great majority of PS3 games have been abandoned, condemned to be forgotten, until a benign power intervenes and brings them back to life. This is an homage to those PS3 horror games that slipped through the cracks and deserve to be remembered. They'll cost you little to nothing if you're dejected and feel lost and forgotten. They'll provide you with remarkable adventures that are, in some cases, among the greatest the console ever had to offer. So hold on tight, let the fun begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
What's happening? I'm in hell!
There is no method in this madness.
The face of evil in the heart of darkness. Perfect.
Number 10. Alice Madness Returns, 2011. Developer, Spicy Horse. The protagonist of American McGee's Alice has not escaped the horrors she tried so hard to exorcise in the first installment. Her imagined wonderland has been twisted into a dark and hellish caricature, plagued with even more terrible illusions than the previous. The real world isn't much brighter than Alice's thoughts, and in this long-awaited sequel, we learn this fact. This action platformer has a twisted and surreal atmosphere, thanks to its original yet disturbing graphics, which transport you to a realm populated by flame-spitting doll babies and wriggling leeches. Unfortunately, the game repeats the same fundamental principles repeatedly, and its failure to evolve and challenge leads to stagnation at times. Nonetheless, leaping and floating around a spooky, giant dollhouse and a Japanese folklore-inspired fantasy land is a thrill, and Madness Returns' hideous corners contain enough mysteries to make it worthwhile to investigate. Alice Madness Returns is a pleasant but ordinary game situated in an extraordinary world.
Want to play a game? You're a perfectly healthy, sane male, yet you spend a lot of your time reviewing crappy games on YouTube. Do you play these games because you want to die, or do you just want some attention?
Number 9. Saw, the video game, 2009. Developer, Zombie Studios. Without giving anything away, it can be stated that Saw, the video game's narrative and advancement, are akin to a best-of compilation from the films. The circumstances, people, and violent set pieces will be quite recognizable to fans. You'll encounter everything from bloody pig gut barrels to limb twisting to makeshift surgery. Although none of the gross-outs are as realistic as the film, the visuals have just enough oomph to make you gag. In this sense, the game utilizes the franchise's finest ideas. Unfortunately, the flicks only give enough content for a few hours of immersive horror until the routine becomes tedious. In the game, Jigsaw takes on the role of an evil god. Through the use of strategically positioned television sets, his voice and image are everywhere. The game is divided into chapters, with the number of chapters and accomplishments kept a mystery to keep the player guessing. If there had been a little more variation or less fluff, the game would have been much more entertaining. Overall, Saw is a nice addition to the horror genre, providing a satisfying dose of thrills.
There's blood coming from the ducts.
Number 8. Resident Evil Revelations, 2012. Developer, Capcom. The team is charged with uncovering the truth behind the downfall of a contemporary conurbation known as Terra Grigia in pursuit of an unfriendly organization known as Veltro. This serves as the setting for hours of cutscenes in which the scriptwriters fight with their own foreseeable narrative twists in order to deliver a barely intelligible story arc. This is a lot more concentrated effort from a crew clearly functioning on a considerably tighter budget, free of the massive expectations that its predecessor faced. The transfer from handheld to PlayStation 3 is seamless, yet the game never looks like it belongs on the system. There are some great apparel textures, but they are overshadowed by muddy landscapes and preset lighting effects. Even though the art style is often extremely great, the comatose settings give the exhibit a rather flat impression. Resident Evil Revelations is a mostly safe spin-off that neither fails nor succeeds spectacularly. It's a step above mediocrity, offering a compelling but often forgettable survival action experience. Number 7. Deadly Premonition, 2010. Developer, Access Games. The game's flaws, inappropriate SFX, shoddy aesthetics, and an unrealistic city map cannot be overlooked. These and other components scream budget game, and rightly so, given the game's $20 price tag. But when you understand that Deadly Premonition has one of video gaming's most prized characteristics, unpredictability, the flaws and frailties gradually melt away. And just as the plot and gameplay cover a wide range of topics, so will your emotions, which will be thrown around by amusing characters, unexpected turns, and emotional discoveries that will affect all but the most cynical gamers. The outdated gameplay mechanics and storytelling eccentricities of Deadly Premonition would be comical, if not pitiful, in most games. However, when viewed in context, they combine to produce a really unique experience that borrows from a variety of sources, yet resembles none. Number 6. Silent Hill Downpour, 2012. Developer, F.E.A.R Games. Silent Hill Downpour is a tribute to the most infamous ghost town in video games. It leans into the series' famed lunacy and weirdness, and offers a more rich setting than ever before. Although the majority of the foundations remain, the creators have not shied away from introducing some significant adjustments to this American nightmare. Some of them are spot on for the Silent Hill formula, while others are a touch off. Downpour is clearly a new Silent Hill game, rather than a rip-off of an older one from the game's first scenes. It retains certain features from the series' past, while embracing change in others. Fog is an excellent example. It was less noticeable here, as the incessant rain takes center stage. Enemies grow more numerous and aggressive as it rains. Dynamic ramifications have developed from an aspect that just improve the mood.
Another, each thinking that they were its master. But you can't own the darkness. The darkness owns you.
Number 5. The Darkness, 2007. Developer, Starbreeze Studios. The Darkness, an FPS based on a Top Cow comic book, tells an intriguing and real story about mobsters seeking vengeance and an otherworldly entity with an insatiable desire for human hearts. The game begins with a spectacular set piece that propels the action onwards immediately. You play as Jackie Estacado, a 21-year-old mob hitman from New York who has just awoken in the back of a racing convertible in the middle of a drug deal gone wrong. There aren't many sorts of weaponry in the game, and the twin pistols you start with are also the most effective tool from the beginning to the end. You'll be given a shotgun, assault rifles, and an auto shotgun that isn't very precise. The Darkness looks fantastic in terms of aesthetics. It has a great frame rate and a vast, well-detailed environment. Both the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 support 1080p. The gameplay is quite enjoyable, and even though it isn't particularly difficult, and the presentation is excellent. Number 4. F.E.A.R 2, Project Origin, 2009. Developer, Monolith Productions. The sequel begins shortly after F.E.A.R finishes and gives you a fresh perspective as a member of another military team assigned with what appears to be a regular job, apprehending a business leader. Your character has a name this time, Michael Beckett, but the event unfolds in the same way. Before you know it, the situation has spiraled out of control, and you're up against an army of unknown adversaries. Frenzied pandemonium and leisurely ballets alternate throughout the gameplay. The distinction is in your character's super quick reflexes, which may be activated for brief bursts to simulate Matrix-style bullet time. It affects the game once you get used to it, and the controls, since you can ration it, and handle most battles in slow motion. F.E.A.R 2 is an excellent shooter, verging on amazing at moments, but it doesn't quite live up to its predecessor. Still, it stays loyal to the spirit of F.E.A.R, which is based on a combination of tried and true horror ingredients, not the least of which is a scary young girl to get under your skin. With excellent visuals and a great sound design, F.E.A.R 2 is a must-have for every horror fan's game collection. Number 3. Siren Blood Curse, 2008. Developer, Project Siren. What do you get when you take a group of normal people and put them in a tight spot, in situations they can't control, and send them into an endless abyss of darkness that will spiral down their minds and send a chill down their spines? You get a brilliant story, a gripping, beautifully woven tale of a high school student, his teacher, and a helpless girl as they struggle to survive in the midst of an unimaginable horror, and you get the most inventive survival horror game in existence. With a compelling aesthetics, brilliant interconnected storytelling, excellent level design, and innovative SFX, the game was on its way to being one of the best survival stealth horror games in 2008. But sadly, due to its offbeat cultural setting of Japan and characters that were revamped from the original franchise to cater to the Western crowd, things did not work out well for the game. Blood Curse has a lot of room to grow, at least regarding certain aspects of its combat experience, but what it lacks in gameplay, it makes up for more than in its design. The characters are relatable, and the game is mostly fun to play, with campaigns that keep you hooked. The adrenaline rush of stealth gameplay is addictive, and the game is an overall exciting experience. If you are not picky about game mechanics and approach this game as what it really is, a stealth horror from back in the old days, Siren Blood Curse is the perfect title to chill with if you decide to revisit your PS3.
I can't tell the difference between what's real and what's in my head.
Number 2. Condemned 2. Bloodshot, 2008. Developer, Monolith Productions. You'll impale riders on iron, crush the skulls of the destitute in a massive vice, and push the faces of far more bizarre opponents into toilet bowls in Monolith's horrific and crazy first-person horror adventure game. Blood splattering sights and the slimy noises of guts splattering on the floor and walls accompany each of these activities. The game, like a classic slasher film, makes no apologies for its contentious material, allowing you to choose how you wish to kill each madman and then displaying the carnage in sickening detail. As you walk around Metro City's damp environs, you can taste the dust in the air, and the harsh textures make every wall and item appear gritty and run down. When you switch on your flashlight in the darkest corners, the illumination becomes even more evocative and eerie. Because of the inspired locations, there are more weapons in the arsenal than in the original Condemned. You'll be spending some time in dark alleyways with baseball bats, pipes, and 2x4s waiting to be snatched and swung. If an injured opponent falls to his knees, you can exploit the surroundings to your advantage. The main tale will take about 9 hours to complete, but you may return it at higher difficulty levels, or take on some of the basic unlockable tasks and compare your scores to others through online leaderboards. However, the main motivation to play Condemned 2 Bloodshot is to be horrified, startled, and to discover the mysteries of a slimy world where the natural and supernatural collide.
Yeah, there's a yellow fuse in the center. I'll try to shoot it.
Number 1. Dead Space 3, 2013. Developer, Visceral Games. In the dispute over what makes a real survival horror game, Dead Space 3 refuses to take sides. It would rather let you make the decision. This is a game brimming with possibilities and versatility, combining the franchise's roots with innovative new ideas that enable the gamers to tweak their experience. The game's early chapters favor loud and exuberant set pieces, but as you progress further into Tau Volantis' icy dystopia, a sense of restrained fear gradually develops. Developer Visceral is once again at the top of its game when it comes to atmospherics. Dead Space 3 doesn't just repeat what the previous installments have done so wonderfully. It takes a huge step ahead in terms of detail and versatility with the addition of a comprehensive weapon creation system. Dead Space 3's combat is immensely enjoyable no matter which adversaries you're up against. The game makes battling for survival a joy, whether you tackle it with a companion or on your own with a plasma cutter or an acid grenade launcher. Known among veterans as one of the PS3 survival classics, Dead Space 3 is rightfully at the top of its league when it comes to gameplay mechanics or overall design and replay value. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed our picks for the top 10 survival horror games from the PS3 era.